Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back in a video on the First Descendant, and today, guys, I'm going to be showing you guys the best updated guide to building Bunny. This build is going to show you guys how to build her to have almost 27-meter range on her lightning emission, having pretty much unlimited mobbing potential, being able to one-tap pretty much everything in the game, and not only that, having her unlimited sprint. So I'm not going to waste too much of your guys' time. Let's go ahead and just get straight into the build. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the build. First things first, let's go ahead and talk about what Bunny actually is. She is one of the best mobbers inside of the entire game, meaning that we are going to be building her for mobbing. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to build Bunny for bossing, and she is pretty good at bossing if you heavily invest into her, but we are specifically building her for mobbing in this video. So let's go ahead first talk about her reactor. Your first thing you want to get on her reactor is going to be Thunder Cage mounting. Now, Thunder Cage is one of the best mobbing guns in the entire game, and it works very well with Bunny. The next things you guys want to get on this reactor is you want to get skill power boost ratios with electric and singular. These are her two abilities that you want to be buffing the most. We're not really using her all, and we're not really using her first ability. We're really only using her run and her lightning emissions with this build. You can use those other two abilities, but there's no reason to get a reactor and boost those two. Now let's go ahead and talk about substats on reactors. Now with this build, what actually works the best is going to be singular skill power boost ratio and gold if you can get it with skill critical hit rate. Now it does not matter if you get skill critical hit rate in purple or gold. It doesn't matter. It's about like fucking 0.4% difference. So it's really not that deep. If you get what I have right here, you're good to go. Now let's go ahead and talk about some external components. Now there's a few options that we have here. Now there is a Slayer set you could run, which would buff her damage entirely. But the problem with the Slayer set is it does give you more skill costs. That's one thing that is kind of bad about the Slayer set, and one reason why I don't personally run it. Now, there is a few other options you could run, like the Supernova set. I personally don't like the Supernova set for two reasons. One, I don't like running the 4 set because it lowers your HP. It makes you more squishy, and it really doesn't do much. So in my opinion, guys, my personal opinion of what the best components is to run on top of Bunny would be two new Supernova sets and 2 Annihilation sets. So the benefit of running 2 Supernova sets will give you the electric skill power modifier increase. Now it's not a big increase, it's about 4%. It says 8%, it's about 4%. It's a pretty good increase, and it's just more damage at the end of the day. So if you guys don't want to farm for the Supernova set and you already have the set I'm about to show you right now, another set you guys can go ahead and farm for that it would be very good for this would be the Battle set. Now the reason the Battle set is so good is because it has the perk on it, skill critical hit rate. This will just increase your skill critical hit rate, and it would only be good if you run 2. Do not run more than 2. It's pointless if you run more than 2, and then run the other 2 as Annihilation if you're going to go for this. Annihilation, you really just want to build for max MP on your circle. You definitely want max MP, the highest you can get. I think 158 is the highest I've ever seen. You definitely want high MP for this build because the more MP you have, the longer you can run. And then MP recovery modifier is good, and you want to make sure you have HP on these two if you can. Let's go ahead and get into the build and why we're running specifically certain things. Let's go ahead and first talk about the Transcendent mod that we are going to be using. That is High Voltage. Now, High Voltage is a mod that reduces the number of enemies that our Throw Bomb and Lightning Emissions can strike, but increases our range and damage. Now, a lot of people also don't know this also decreases our cooldown. Why this is so good, I'll tell you right now. So if we were to go to, for instance, my Bunny Cave build right here, which is a little bit different, we're using a different Transcendent mod. We're only showing you this to show you the lightning emissions between not having the mod on and having the mod on. So as you see right here, we have a range of 20 meters. Now you would think, okay, that's pretty good. If we go back into our substat right here, we're not at max range yet. If we were to put on a reactor with range on it, as so, and go back up here, we are at max range. Now, if we go back into here and you can see the max range, that's 21 meters. That's not very good because like I said in the beginning of the video, we're almost at 27 meters with the build I'm about to give you. So the reason that normal AoE Bunny is not as good as High Voltage Bunny is because High Voltage gives you an extra 6 meters of range by just having the mod on. Another thing that High Voltage does that a lot of people don't actually talk about is it gives you a cooldown reduction. As you see right here, we're going to go over to our no mods right here, and we're going to uncheck everything. We're going to go ahead and save, and we're going to go back. We see right here, we have a base cooldown of 30. Now, if we go right here and we set this to Transcendent, and we put on High Voltage and save, we go back, we're at 22. So we lost about 8 seconds off our actual cooldown by just having a transcendent mod on. It doesn't say that anywhere in the mod. It's kind of a hidden thing, which is pretty cool, but a lot of people don't know that, and that's one reason why we're running high voltage. So the first mod we're going to be running is Electric Specialist. What does this do? Electric Specialist increases our electric skill power by 81.2%. Now, a lot of people are going to ask me, why are you running Electric Specialist instead of Focus on Electricity? Now, the reason for this is a Focus on Electricity does give you a decrease in damage, but does give you a cooldown reduction. The reason we're not running this and we're running a Focus on Singular is because Focus on Singular and Singular Specialist is a less of a decrease in damage than Electric Specialist to Focus on Electricity, meaning that we get more damage. So that's why we're running that. Increased HP, obviously we want more HP just to make us more survivable and more tanky. Don't be that bunny main that does not run HP. You're going to be annoying. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Next, we're running MP Collector. This is one of her best mods. When defeating an enemy, instantly recovers 12.2% of your max MP at 17% chance. Now, the reason this mod is so good, and like I said earlier, the higher our mana stat is, the higher mana we get off procs. What I mean by that is MP Collector always takes a 12.2% off your max MP. So whatever your max MP is, it'll take 12.2% of that every time it procs. So the higher this number is, the in turn more MP you're going to be getting. Okay. Now I have seen a lot of people say, why don't you run Energy Converter, if I can spell, Energy Collection? And the reason I don't like Energy Collection, I'll tell you this right now, you can make it work. A lot of people are like, okay, this mod's better, and I tried it, and there's a few reasons why this mod is not better, and I'll tell you that right now. Now, you can run a external component with increased module drops, which will give you more MP drops. But the problem with this is not the drops, like a lot of people may think. The problem is you have to go pick up the mana. And that wastes mana to go pick up mana. So you're in turn going to eventually run out. Granted, it is a nice little buff in your overall pickup rate, but it's not better than MP Collector in that regard. Because if you're just trying to run past everything, not shoot your gun at all, MP Collector is better. Because you're not going to have to stop. You're not going to have to run. Oh, there's a mana bar. Let me go run over to it. The next mod we are running is Maximize Conservation. Now, this mod, it can be switched whenever the change comes back where we can catalyst different slots. Like, say, for instance, we want to catalyst this spot right here with a different slot. It will be coming out soon. This would be the one you would change for bossing. Now, this right here for everything and your mobbing and everything besides bossing, this is your best in slot mod. The reason this mod is so good is it gives us a 35.4% skill cost reduction, increase for a skill power modifier decrease. Now, I've tested this on every single mod, on every single character. It is 6%, it is not 20%. Everyone seems to think that that number is vouchable, and it's not actually 20%. It is 6%. If you don't believe me, go test it out right now. I promise you, it is 6%. It is not worth putting on a different mod and losing that skill cost for more crit rate when you're just mobbing. It's not worth it. If you're trying to just run forever and mob everything, Maximize Conversion is your best bet. Okay. Your next mod we're going to be running is Skill Consecration. What this mod does is it increases our skill critical hit rate, damage by 115%. Now, this mod is actually almost really close to 40% increase in your actual damage. It is such a good mod to run, and it's going to increase your crit rate damage significantly. The next mod we are running is Frontlines. Skill critical hit rate damage and skill critical hit rate. This pretty much is just going to give us more damage and more critical hit rate, so we're critting more often. We're pretty much trying to crit as much as possible without sacrificing the mobbing potential, because Bunny is such an overtuned character. She actually can crit almost up to 1.6 million if you build her out for straight crit, which is actually insane considering that she's a mobbing character. Moving on to the next mod, we are going to be running Skill Expansion. This gives us that beefy ass range that we want. This gives us a 92.3% increase in our overall range. This is very, very good. This is just going to give us more range, allow us to hit targets from further. We're also running Maximize Range on top of this, which gives us more range, but a decrease in our damage by another 6%. So we have 6% here and a 6% here, in turn equaling 12%. We're going to make up that damage by running Focus on Singular. This gives us a singular skill power boost modifier of 68.2%, but gives us a skill cooldown of 6.1. Now, for instance, if on your reactor you have a reactor that is the same as mine, but it has skill cooldown. You could actually get away with running focus on singular specialist and electric specialist. But like I said, you definitely want that crit rate on your reactor because it's going to make us crit more. And then the last mod we're going to be running is going to be emergency measures. This gives us skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage. Now, let's go ahead and talk about it right now because I know people are going to be like, but what about bossing? But what about bossing? So right here, this is where you would take off maximize conservation and you would run another crit mod, and it would be skill insight. This will give you that crit rate, actual crit rate. So I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a build where we're able to run indefinitely and have AoE bunny. Now this is where we're running a different transcendent mod. We are running bionic fuel. This decreases our speed of light, but it consumes HP instead of MP. Now the reason that a lot of people try to stay away from this mod, including myself, is because it keeps you one shot consistently. And when you're doing dungeons and shit like that, the bosses will one tap you. No matter how strong the bunny is or whatever, the bosses will one tap you. And not only that, it decreases the speed. So realistically, this mod is only good if you're killing lots of trash ads in a confined area and you're not really running from room to room. Now, the reason that I'm going to say this right now too is this build is not entirely finished because I haven't been able to catalyst different slots because the update hasn't dropped yet. So this build is not entirely finished, but it is a little like rough sketch of an idea of what you should be running. We're running electric specialist and singular specialist this time because we're going to be running cooldowns and stuff like that in a minute. You would right here run increased HP for that increased HP, but I really don't think it's necessary because you're going to be one tap anyways. Running walk a typer for the increased skill power, MP conversion for the skill cooldown, skill cost, more skill cost, singular specialist, maximize range, skill expansion, and skill insight. Like I said, this build is nowhere near complete. It's kind of just a rough idea if you need an AoE bunny. And I kind of just use this like it's called for the bunny cave whenever I'm trying to AFK that or need modules or something like that. I kind of just use that for that. So I really don't use this. I maybe come back to this whenever they reintroduce the catalyst change. But for right now, this is what I have for AoE bunny. All right, now that I showed you guys all the builds, let's go ahead and show you guys how the build functions. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to be able to run for pretty much forever. Now this is a level 100 enemy. As you see, we're critting for 600,000. This would be a lot more crits if we were running skill insight for that bossing, but we're not bossing. And we're hitting for 150 base damage. Now some other tricks a lot of bunny people don't tell you is if you do use your grapple, you do hit your enemy a lot faster than just running. So you can actually hit them more often. And as you see right here, we're going to go ahead and back up and just look how far I'm able to actually hit this enemy. Look at that, guys. That's insane. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was just going to be a short little video on the best bunny build. If you guys enjoyed it and would like to see more content like this, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new. I'm going to try to post more often here as much as I possibly can on more First Descendant and other games. So if you guys would like to see that content, be sure to stop by my Twitch. I try to be going live there more often than not. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.